Okay. So there are also headers that we can make. Oh, sorry, I went a bit too fast for that. Okay. So there are headers that you can make inside of HTML. Okay. And they're denoted with H tags. Okay. So H tags have a digit next to it. Let's say, for example, H1, which you can see renders pretty large. But I can make different size tags. So let's say I have an H1 tag with 2 paragraphs of text. Okay. What I want to do is create an H3 tag. Okay, I'm going to do that now. Before the second paragraph. So I have one paragraph here. I need to put one here. And then we can H3 and say orbital. Okay. And add an H5 heading after the second paragraph, and then add a third paragraph after that heading. I'm going to do that too. So please do try to follow along. See how that goes. Okay. And as you can see, if you scroll down on this page, you can see the paragraph text renders the same size, but the headers are different, right? The H1 is pretty big, the H3 is a little smaller, and the H5 is pretty small. Okay. Well, I'm going to skip exercise 8 because it's more of the same. H2, H4, and H6. You can also do this if you wish. So let's recap what we have gotten so far. All right. HTML is basically just the website structure. All right. We open HTML files when we request something from a server, right? When you ask for a page, basically the server is giving you the web page back through a GET request, which I talked to you earlier about. And then the browser takes that text file, which is HTML, and renders it. You know, it tries to figure out what tags to use it and display it. Okay. So in the head, we have a title, and we use these to specify the web page's names. And we use headers and paragraphs to make things, okay? Okay, now hypertext called hypertext for a reason, right? It's because we want to be able to hyperlink another website to ours, right? So for example, what if you wanted to send a user to another part of your website, or to another web page or website automatically or altogether? Then you have to use a hyperlink if it's not on your own page. Okay, this is done by using a anchor tag, a tag. Okay, and in part of the a tag, it has an attribute called a hyperreference, href for short. Okay, so if you look at this, it says a href. Okay, and then we can put something there, right? Ahref, I give it the name of a website. Okay, I could change it to something else. For example, I can change it to, for example, Orbital, COMP, NUS, EDUSG, Orbital website. Okay, and then I'll have a link here that I can click on. All right, so I can say open new link or whatever. And then I'll get to our course's homepage, right? Okay, so all I need to know is, for example, the address of another web page. I can do that by going to a web page, okay, clicking Control-C or Control-V or Apple-V, Apple-C, Apple-V, okay, and then copying that and then putting a link in my page, right? I can do whichever website I want. So for example, maybe I go to, I don't know, google.sg. Okay, then I can also click on that and get to another page. Okay, Just remember the syntax is really simple. It's just an A tag, okay, the letter A, followed by a space, and then a hyperreference. Okay, hyperreference is basically an attribute value. The attribute says that I have a hyperreference, then I need to know where it's going to go. Okay. Then with that, I have to put the text that I want linked, and I have to close the tag. So this is the text that's going to be underlined, and any other text that I type outside is not. Okay? So there we go. We have our first working web page that's pointing to another site. Right? So I didn't fill in a title. I could have, but it doesn't matter. What we're looking at is the A tag for building a hyperreference. Okay? Everyone okay with that so far? Anyone getting stuck? Okay, good point about the indentation. Indentation doesn't matter for HTML. In fact, a white space is all just syntactic sugar for you to see what's going on. Okay, when we get to Python, it matters a lot. So Wilson has already said it actually matters a lot for Python. That's one of the benefits of Python. But for HTML, it doesn't care. Okay, let's go and add an image. Okay, so I have a duck here. All right, I'm going to change that image to something else. When I want to add an image, I use the image tag img. Okay, and you can see it demonstrated here. All right, here's an img. And this one also takes a hyperreference, but this time it's not called href. It's called src for source. So where's the source of the image? Where does it come from, right? Okay, so I need to find this particular image at this address. Okay, so you can check it yourself. Okay, for example, I'm going to take this address, okay, copy it, open a new tab, paste it. Okay, this is a regular URL. You've seen them many times before. I'm going to retrieve this file. Okay, so what happened was I issued a GET request to the server. The server says, oh, you want this file? I'm going to send you the bytes for it. Sent it back to me. I got this duck. Right? In fact, we're doing this all the time because all of the images that you see all over these web pages are retrieved the same way. Okay? Okay, so it says here, this is an interesting tag because it is a singleton tag, meaning it doesn't have a closing tag. In your href that you did on the last page, there was some text to be underlined, right? So it needed to be enclosed between an opening bracket and a closing bracket, okay? But here, when we have an image, there's nothing to enclose, okay? So we just have a single tag to say what it is. So when you have a single tag, it has to look a little bit like this one. Okay, image, space, then source, the attribute value pair that says I have a source, here's where it is. Then I have to have the ending to the singleton tag. So that's where this looks like. You end the tag in the same tag. Okay, whereas if you look at all the other tags, they're paired. They have an opening tag and a closing tag. The slash there is in the front. For singleton tags, the slash is in the back. Okay? Okay, so for example, every image on the web has its own URL, right? So you can add another image to put here. So let's say image source. I'm going to get an image from somewhere. Let's see, where should I get it? Maybe I get it from NUS. Okay, so here's an image at the top. I'm going to copy that image location. This is how I do it in Firefox. In Google Chrome, it's pretty similar to that. Okay, or you could view the image. You view the image, you'll get the address as well. Okay, and then I can stick it in here inside the quotation marks. Okay, so now my rubber ducky belongs to the School of Computing. Okay. All right, everyone following? No problems yet? Oops, try again. What did I do wrong? Okay. Sometimes Code Academy may have problems. It doesn't really understand your syntax perfectly. So in those cases, you can just go ahead and advance. When you need to do that, you just come up here, okay, and you just change the exercise by yourself. Okay. So for example, let's say I did the first part, okay, I just put 2 ninjas on the page, okay. Then what I want to do is make that image clickable. There are lots of times when you want to click on an image to get a bigger version of that page, that image, right? So we can make it clickable using the A tag again. It's just the same as before, right? So I'm going to open an A tag and point the hyper reference to another website, okay? So we can do that by nesting the HTML tags together, right? Placing one tag inside another is called nesting. Okay, we're going to follow this in the body section, create an A tag, choose the website to point to, like this one. Okay, create an image tag, put it between the A and the closing A. Don't forget where the image should be. Okay, so I already have this one here. I'm just going to put the A tag and then say I want it to go to, for example, codeacademy.com. Okay, I'm in the middle of the A tag, so I have to close it first. Okay, and then I have to put the ending tag after the image if I want it to be clickable itself. Okay, so I go full screen on this. See whether it will go full screen or not. Nope. Okay. In any case, if we were able to go full screen, you would see that one of these images is clickable and the other one is not. You can sort of see that as I mouse over. So when I mouse over, my cursor changes to a pointer finger. When I go to the second one that's not linked, it stays as an arrow. Okay, so if I were to click this, for example, it's going to open up, again, the Code Academy home page. Okay. Images and links. Okay, between the body and tags, add 2 images using the image tag. One should be a link, the other should not. The link can go anywhere you want. Okay, after the 2 images, create a line of text, a link that's just a line of text. It can link anywhere you want. So this is a summary of what we need to do. So let's just go ahead and try it. Hopefully you're getting this. I'm going to do it with you. So I need to add 2 images. I'm going to add an image. And I'm going to make sure it closes. I'm going to add another image. I'm going to worry about where to get my images in a little while. Okay. One should be a link. One should not. So I'm going to make one of them a link. Okay. So I'm going to make the first one a link. Okay. And I need to make the second one a non-link. So I have 2 images already here, 1 and 2. The first one you can see is a bit clickable. The second one is not. I have to give it a location. So let's say I want to go to Orbital. And I have to give this an image. Let's copy an image from somewhere. Okay. Our School of Computing. Okay, so now that's clickable. And then I'm going to get something else from somewhere else. Let's get it from Orbital. Okay, so let's take this image, for example. I need to copy the location because I need its web address. Okay, I'm going to put it here, the second one. And you can see I have 2 images now. Okay, and I need to add a line of text anywhere that has some words in there. Okay, so I'm going to add a link. Maybe I'll go to Slack. And I have to add the address for Slack, Orbital 2015. Okay, and if you scroll down, you can see I have a line of text that has a link. Okay. All right, if I wanted to make this a paragraph, that would probably be slightly better. So I'm going to do that. A paragraph is, as you already noted, because HTML doesn't care about white spaces, it doesn't actually know that it's supposed to be on a different line. So when you make a paragraph, okay, using the p tag and close p tag, it's going to force a carriage return to put it somewhere else. Okay, and I have orbital is great on a separate line. Yeah, I don't need the dot, right? Because I already have punctuation. Okay, so there you go. If I click on this, it's going to bring me to Slack. Right, because I had linked that second thing to Slack. So here we go, loading, loading. Okay, and we're done. Okay, so now we're done with this basic lesson, and that's great. Congratulations to you. You got first of the way through. Okay, so we're going to go back up to the top level. So you saw what I did, hopefully, is I had to click the upper left hand of this exercise up here. Okay, so you go back to the menu for this course. This is the HTML CSS course. Okay, so we did this one, fundamentals of HTML. We're going to skip this one because it's more practice of the same. You can learn a little bit more by going through HTML Basics 2. Okay, you click this one. Okay, so we're going to take it a little bit farther. We're going to learn about making ordered and unordered lists, changing the font size, color, and type, changing the background color, and aligning the text. Okay. So we already know how to do part of this. Let's go ahead and get warmed up. We're going to add a title. You have to do that in the head, if you remember. Okay, so I can write it anywhere. Say I write it here, title, my web page. Okay. In the body, create a paragraph using p tag, right? And write anything you like. Okay. I'm going to write anything you like, literally. Write anything you like. Okay. So there we go. All right. How are we doing, everyone? Are you guys all there? Okay, so if you haven't checked the Stack Orbital flow, I think Justin is being very helpful in saying that some of the things are picky. Yeah, so for example, the white space in the link, you need an extra space there, not closing it directly. It actually works just fine in the browser. Your browser is notoriously lax, okay? It will take whatever garbage you throw at it and still try to make it look like a web page. Okay, so that's fine. Okay. Okay, indentation is your friend. So as we already said, HTML doesn't care about indentation. You could just throw away all the spaces and make it one big line, and it would still be the same. Okay, it's the same. It's just not readable to you and to me. So all of that is okay. Okay. So this is still an HTML page. That's all fine and good. It's perfectly readable to the machine. So that's all that matters. Right? Of course, we like it to be nicely formatted so we can understand what's going on. So of course, we would like it to be indented. Okay? So normally, you already learned with Java or C, you use 1, 2 to 4, or 8 spaces for indentation. This Code Academy site, when I use it at least, gives me a default of 4, which I think is pretty reasonable. Okay, so we're going to learn about ordered list next. Okay, an ordered list is simply a list that is numbered like the one below. Okay, so I have an ordered list here. I have an H1, which you already learned about, list of my favorite things. Okay, and then a verse from The Sound of Music, right? Raindrops on roses, whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles, warm roots and millions. Okay, whatever. I know you don't like to hear lecturers sing. It's terrible, right? It's awful. Okay. Anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to open the ordered list with an opening tag, right? We have this OL right over here on line 8. On lines 9 through 11, we're going to wrap, that is surround or nest, each individual item with the LI and NLI. This LI stands for list item. List item. Okay? And then I can do it like this. Right? I have 4 items, raindrops on roses, number 1, whiskers on kittens, number 2, bright copper kettles, number 3, etc. Okay? On line 13, we finish the ordered list with a closing tag right over here, right, the OL. And now we can write ordered lists, right? So on line 14 here, it says, go ahead and make a H2. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Make an H2. And what list of things I find just okay. All right. Starting on line 15, create an ordered list. Okay. As we did before. And then put 3 items in there. Right. So I'm going to make LI tags. Okay. It looks like I have to make a couple of them. So I'm just going to copy and paste 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then put whatever I like in them. My son, when he's naughty. Okay. Debugging my web application. Eating just okay food. Okay, so those are all things that I find just okay. All right, and you can see it's rendered that correctly. You can see the H1 is a little larger than my H2, and that these things are looking just fine. So we're going to submit. And hopefully we're all right with that. Okay. Takes a bit more typing. I hope you are all doing pair programming to work together on it. You know, it's not that fun to just sit there, do nothing. Okay. One more ordered list. Okay, we think ordered lists are excellent. Who doesn't like a bit of order? Let's do some more practice. In the body tag, create an H3. Okay, which I've done already. Make an ordered list with the top 3 celebrities you find not to your taste. Okay, I don't watch TV, so I actually have to go do some research for this. Okay, annoying celebrities. Okay, oh, all right. Look, I have my list items already. Most annoying celebrities ever. Oh, who's that? I don't even know. That's how outdated I am. Okay. Okay, I know who that is. I'm going to paste him in. He's so annoying, I'm just going to use him 3 times. Okay? You could, you could be nicer and then, get someone else, all right? I'm not trying to harp on him, okay? It's okay. Who's the next one anyways? Okay, Paris Hilton, I agree, she's pretty annoying. Okay. Okay. What did I do? Okay, so that should have worked. Oh, under the list, you may make an H2 tag. I see, I didn't make enough tags, so I'll go ahead and do this as well. H2, top, I can't write, so I'm going to steal. Right. And then what you should have done during Mother's Day, which was just yesterday, right? So you're going to put some things here. Mhm. Okay, then I can have that as well. Okay, all right. Unordered lists are almost the same, actually. So when you want to have a bulleted list like you see on PowerPoint, then you can do the same thing. All right, so I can take something like this, copy and paste it into my body. Okay, and then I have bullet points, right? So it looks very familiar. The only thing that changed was instead of an O for ordered list here, right, I have an unordered list here, right? So if I want to get back an ordered list, I just change it. You can see the browser doesn't care that I didn't close it properly, but by right, you should close your tags properly. So I'm going to change it back to an unordered list, and I get bullet points out. Okay. So for each item we wish to tag, we're going to use a list item tag just like before, and we're going to tell our browser when we are done by calling it with our closing tag. Okay. Oh, I need an H1. Okay. I have to add p tags too. Okay. It says I have to create an unordered list with completely random items in it. I'm going to do that. That's pretty random. Okay, so I have a random list in there. Okay, you can have lists inside of lists as well. We're not going to go practice all of these, so we're going to skip around a little bit. Okay, let's go to styling the font. Okay. So the first thing to note is that even before we style the font, they want you to learn about comments. Okay, so we're going to talk about different types of things here. CSS we've already alluded to is how we make the web page look nice, okay? But actually you can do those things within HTML. You can change the color and appearance, and it helps to learn that ahead of time. But before we need to do that, you should learn about comments. Comments and syntax. The comment syntax in HTML is really, really odd, okay? It has this look, okay, where it is a angle bracket followed by an exclamation mark, double dashes, okay, and any number of things, and then you have a closing bracket, which is double dash and an angle bracket again, okay? This is a comment, okay? So, for example, if I wanted to make this into a comment, I also have to do the same thing, okay? Make that out, and then I'll leave this one here that's visible, okay? Save and submit code, that goes through, okay? So the first thing about CSS and about styling you need to know is that there's an automatic attribute that you can use to every tag that's called style, okay? So style makes it look different, right? So I can say, for example, here, if you look at this one, if you're following along on exercise 8, okay? I have a paragraph, but it has a style. And the style has some attribute value, which is called font size :10 pixels. Okay, meaning that I want the font size to be 10 pixels high. Okay, that you can see here. Then I have another paragraph that's normal size at 20 pixels and one that's at 40 pixels. Okay, so I use the style attribute for that. And when I do, I have to enclose a string, just like you see here. string that matches some directive about how I want it to look. Okay, so the look is a little bit different syntax. This is actually CSS syntax that we're going to learn a little bit later. Okay, but basically what that is the ability to, again, specify an attribute and a value pair. An attribute here being the font size and the value being a size, right? 10 pixels or 20 pixels or 40 pixels. Okay. So you can also change the color using the same style, okay? So for example, if I want to color something, I can use something like this. I can change the H1, okay, to add a style tag, an attribute rather, and add the directive, the CSS directive color, and then red, right? Then you can see the header is changed to the color red, okay? Meaning that it understands that I'm asking for the text to be red color. Okay? What happens if you want to change more than one attribute at the same time? That's pretty easy, right? I just add a semicolon between each bit. Okay? So each of these are separate directives. So for example, I could change the font size, okay, to let's say 80. Okay? Then it's going to be even bigger, right? Big heading. Okay? Now, you are maybe going to get a little confused about the syntax because there's two different languages at work. There's HTML, which you've already seen uses these angle brackets, okay? And it uses an equal sign when it connects attributes to their values, okay? Instead, inside of this yellow colored font here, those are CSS directives, okay? Therefore, making the page look different. And those use a different syntax. They use an attribute followed by a value, but they have a colon in between. A colon, not an equal sign. And to separate different statements, you need to use a semicolon. Very familiar to those of you who are from Java. Okay, a semicolon. Okay, so we can do some changing. Okay, let's do this. We're going to change the heading color to green. Green. Change the first color of the first paragraph to violet. So I'm going to do that. Color violet. Change the second one to color red, and also change the font size. Okay. So here again, I'm practicing two changes at once. I'm saying I want this thing inside of this p tag to be red, and I want it to be 10 pixels tall. Okay. I have to change the header size. Okay, so I go to do that too. Font size, 16 pix. You can change the style of the font too. Okay, so those of you who like to use different fonts, I've wasted a lot of time always, picking the right font for something. So if that's your fancy too, you can do that. All right, so I can change the style of all of these. Right, style, font family. This is supposed to be an Arial, so I'm going to make it Arial. And I think it needs to be big, so I'm going to change it to a larger size. Okay, so this is big Arial. This is medium Verdana. So I need to change that as well. Font size, 12 pix. Okay, and then change the font family to Verdana. Okay, and then the last one. Okay, change it to impact. And then change the font size to 10 pix. Okay, so you can see how that's rendered after I do all those changes. Okay, great. All right, awesome job. Now you've got control of your web page, including color, size, type, and font. So we learned all of these things. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to practice this on your own. And then when you're done, take a screenshot and then put it on the Stack Orbital flow here. Okay, so you can practice using some Slack. Okay, so you're going to upload a file after you take a picture. All right, and then put it up there. I'm going to do this with you. Let's see who can do it. It doesn't matter whether you finish it or not. Just do your best. Okay, so I'm going to do this. For the paragraph on line 7, make the font have style, size, font size. Remember, it's not just size, it's font size. 20 pixels. It's a little bigger. Color, on the other hand, doesn't have font color, it's just color. Blue. Okay. And a font family of Arial. Okay. So I did that. I'm going to take a picture of it. Okay, and then upload it. Okay. You should practice Slack anyways, because if you're going to use this as your platform to communicate with your advisor and your teammate, just practice. You know, there's a lot of silly things you can do with Slack, right? Like enter emoticons. We've added some ones for you to play around with. And you can type things that the Slack bot will reply to you with. So all of those things you should get to know. What's the difference between a post and a snippet, etc. It'll help you be more productive. Okay? So go ahead and upload it. You know, there's no harm. Just put it up there. Why not? There's other types of styling that we can do, so we're not going to go over them. I'm going to let you try this exercise, or if you would like, if you think you're faster at it, try out number 15. Okay, and then take a screenshot and upload that. Okay, just give it a try. Okay, we'll come back and continue in another 2 minutes. So Justin rightly pointed out that all of these style attributes you're learning, you're going to learn them again in CSS in a couple minutes time, because that's where we can put things to make it more modular. So you already heard in programming class, right? CS 10, 10, 10, 20 or whatever, that you want your code to be modular, right? To reuse things. So for example, when you make a website, you want all the pages to look consistent, right? They need to look like they're from the same website. So you want to put all of the definitions about what paragraphs look like, what tables look like, how are the images styled, how are the hyperlinks styled, all in one place, so that if we make a change to that particular specification, all the website changes. Okay, that's what CSS is for. But right now we're just teaching you, even in HTML itself, you can actually change the appearance of something. Okay, so websites by the default, without any styling, they look horrible, absolutely atrociously bad. Because as you may look, if you cannot get the cascading style sheet, the CSS for a website, and you load it, it doesn't look right. Everything looks off. Okay. So I'll wait until at least one person puts up the screenshot, and then we'll go ahead and go from there. Someone will try. Okay. Do any of the exercises, take a screenshot and put it up. Okay, if I'm going too fast for anyone, don't worry. This website is really nice. It's designed to be at your own pace, just like this course. Okay, we're just trying to give you, you know, a first look at how HTML is coded, and so that you can start to understand how it works. You know, what a web page looks like. Okay, right. I am so tired. Yeah, me too. That's why I need this liquid to goose my voice. Anyone else? Keep it up, you know? Why not? Just make this a more fun lecture, right? By interacting and putting something up on that. You can be witty, right? You can put whatever you want in your things and then say something nice or something nasty. Either way, you can treat it like NUS whispers, except that it's actually not anonymous. Sorry. Okay. So we'll go on. There are tables that you can make. We're going to skip that and maybe come back to that in a minute. We're going to learn about div and span first. So if you go back out to HTML and CSS, okay, scroll until you get HTML basics free. Click here. Okay, and we're going to learn about divs first. Okay, so you have to go to this button up at the top, which says 1 out of 15. Change it to this part here, div and span. When you open that, the accordion menu will expand, and you see the last 5 exercises for this. Let's start with number 1. Okay, so a div and a span are 2 different tags that you're going to learn to use a lot, because they form the basis of a lot of what we do in HTML5, which is the current spec of HTML. Okay, it's basically just a structure tag. It's a container for any type of styling or positioning you want to throw at it. Okay, so it's called div for division, and you can do anything you want. Okay, basically it's a way that you can then apply CSS to it to make the divs look wherever you want. Okay, so on the right side of the page you see an HTML document, doc type HTML. You know this already. There's a head tag. Right, this is the title of the page, and then you have a body. The body has 4 divisions, okay? And we use the style tag to tell us something about it. We said each of these divisions are 50 pixels high, they're 50 pixels wide, and the background color of the first one is red, blue, and green, right? Now it's your turn. Let's make one on line 10. In my browser, it's line 11. Never mind. Okay, I'm gonna make a div, style it with whatever. Same as before. It says height equals, oops, not equals, again, colon, 50 pixels. Okay, background color, yellow. Okay, and I'm going to finish my division. So actually I already have it on this page. So I have 2 ones here. Maybe I'll change this one to orange. This one. Okay. All right. You can see what's happening. Now, of course, this is a different CSS directive. This is background color, because if I use the color directive, I'm actually trying to change the text that's inside of it, inside of the division. So for example, if I didn't use background color, I just use color, you can guess what it's going to look like, right? It's going to look like that. Okay, because the text didn't change, the text got its color changed, but not the background. Okay, all good? Okay. So you can do anything you want with these tags. You can make, let's say, the division clickable. You can make it click to another site. So here we can practice something that you learned a while back, making a hyper reference. So I have an A tag with a href, right? And I need to put the ending tag after the division end, because all of this text is being interleaved inside, right? All of this is the middle of this division, okay? And I can need to specify where it's supposed to go. Maybe today I'll point to NUS. Okay. And as you see here, I have 3 divisions. The 4th one here is now clickable, right? Because I let it go somewhere. Okay, so now I have the NUS website. This doesn't look like the NUS website, but never mind, it's the NUS website. Okay, now divs are something that you use to divide up a web page into logical blocks. Okay, those blocks, then you can position wherever you want. So for example, on a mobile phone and a desktop browser, oftentimes you see that the website looks a little different, right? Because for example, on a desktop or a laptop, you have enough horizontal space to see the whole thing, right? But on a mobile, oftentimes you have to basically take all the different parts and make it into one long page, because no one likes to go scroll left and right, right? How we do that is using divisions, okay? The divisions get placed in different places on different types of clients, okay? So on the mobile client, maybe the divisions will be put one next to each other, down, up and down, right? But on a web page that you're going to show on your laptop, maybe they'll be put left to right until there's out of space, and then they'll go down. Okay? So that's what we use divisions for, but you can use a span to style something that's smaller than that. Okay? So for example, this text is black except for the word red, which I've already enclosed in a span tag. Okay? So spans are usually used for small blocks of text that are part of a larger unit. So for example, if you want to underline something or bold something or change the font within a larger block of text, use a span tag. Okay? Spans are for that reason. Okay? You can do anything you want with them. Again, let's say I just want to change that one word, then I'm going to do that. My favorite font is Impact, and I have to create a span tag because I don't want to use another paragraph tag, because otherwise it will be another paragraph. Okay, I haven't styled it yet. I've just defined it as a span. Okay, then I'm going to add a style to it, right? Style equals font family colon, again colon, not equals here. And then I'm going to write the word impact, and then there I go. I have impact. All right, I could change it to something else, whatever you want. Oops, I actually have to use impact. Okay, so I'm going to use impact. Okay, so with all of that, you get the idea of how to use spans. Okay, there's another unit here that you can go through, which is about tables. Basically, tables are just rows of information, right? There's a definition of a table for the header, each row, and then each cell within the table. Okay, but we're not going to go over that because I'm a bit slow today. So instead, what we're going to do is go on with CSS. Okay, so again, what I did is I clicked up here, HTML and CSS. I went back a page. I selected the CSS first part, okay? And then we're going to go back to the beginning of this. Okay, so why do I need CSS? Because look at this document, okay? Here's an HTML file. You actually know all of this stuff here. It just basically has a bunch of links, okay? A list here, right? Some images, okay? And if you scroll down, basically it looks like this, right? So lots of cute dog. We all need that at this time of the day, right? Oh, this one's really nice. I like this one. Okay. So you already know how to construct this page through all of the things that we get, right? But it doesn't look very good. But what we want to do is use some styling for all of the items here to get it to look better. So the first thing you're going to do is uncomment this comment down line 4, okay? The way you do that is you get rid of the link, the comment, okay? Now this particular line is active, okay? Then you can look at it in full screen. Doesn't that look a lot better? Yeah, wow, look at that. It cleaned up a lot. So the unordered list came out like this. All of those small pictures got rendered in the grid. The background has changed. There's a drop shadow. Even the buttons are rounded. All of this stuff looks pretty good now. It looks respectable. Okay, how did that happen? It's because I linked this file to another page called stylesheet.css. This just basically contains all of the information about how to style these elements. Okay, because when I don't have them styled, they look like that page that I showed you earlier. Okay, and in Code Academy, you can see different files by different tabs. Okay, so here I have the index.html. Over here, we have the stylesheet.css. You can take a look at what that looks like. Okay, hopefully it's not too hard for you to understand. You can see all of these directives are things you already know, right? So font family, Verdana, semicolon, that's a style directive in CSS format. Okay? So there are quite a lot of things here, but never mind, we're going to go through some of these one by one. Okay, so the point about this is you're going to try to write applications that are going to write HTML. Okay, but the HTML that you want to write is pretty basic. Okay, you don't want to style it in the HTML page itself. Why is that? Because again, as I told you earlier, you want to separate out how the appearance of the website looks from its content. Okay, so that when you make changes to the appearance, all of the web pages in your entire site change the same way. Okay, so it's modularization. You've already heard about that, right? You put all of the information about how things look in the style sheet. Okay, and if you have any other changes that you want to make individually to elements on the page that are different from the rest of your website, then you can apply the style attribute to a tag. Okay, like we have been doing earlier in the first part of the HTML lecture. Okay, so that's what CSS does, right? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. It's a language that you already know, actually. Okay, it's a way to describe the appearance of any tag in HTML. All those angle brackets are tags, right? So a style sheet is a file that describes how it looks like. Okay, we call these cascading style sheets because in a cascading style sheet, more than one thing can apply at the same time. Okay, so we're going to talk about that later. Okay, basically, for example, here, this is a directive for the paragraph tag that says that all the paragraphs that I see should be colored red. Okay, so for example, I go back to my HTML here. I'm going to write another paragraph. It's also red. I didn't have to insert any style information. It already inherited from my style sheet. Okay, but it's a cascading style sheet because even when there's another directive applied to it, I can decide what to do. So for example, I have a span here, color blue. Okay, if I look at this particular HTML, I can see that there is a span here that's nested inside of the p tag. Okay, so in fact, both of these directives apply to this word. Okay, it should be both blue and both red, right? Because the span says it's supposed to be blue, the paragraph says it's supposed to be red. So how does it decide? Well, it processes the directives in order of specificity. Okay, so the paragraph tag is bigger. You apply those tags first, and then we look to see whether there's other tags that apply inside. So because in the HTML, the span tag is nested within the paragraph tag, that's why that tag is blue. Okay, so I've already told you why, but let's reiterate. Why separate form from function, right? There are two main reasons, right? You can apply the same formatting to several HTML elements without the rewriting of code over and over again, right? So I don't have to write it for every span tag here that I want it to be styled a certain way, right? It'd be a royal pain if I have to make all of these tags different, right? But more importantly for you as a web developer, you can make many pages. All of the websites or all of the pages on your website use the same directives. Okay, so it's a lot of code reuse. Okay, so for example, I'm going to style sheet.css tab. I'm going to style the span directive that I want it to be cursive. I've already done that. Okay, but originally it was not. Okay, so I'm just going to change it to cursive. All right, font family cursive. Okay, and then all of this is going to change. Okay. Okay, let's change this back down to a regular size. Okay, so you can see all of the spans, they're now in this cursive font. Okay, so CSS directives actually can be given in not one, not two, but 3 different places. Okay, so for example, you already know what a cascading style sheet is. Okay, if you prefer, for whatever reason, not to have a style sheet, you can actually embed a style sheet within your HTML file. How do we do that? Okay, here we go. That's how. All right, there's a style element that you can put in your header. Okay, your HTML header does not show up on a web page when you look at it. Okay, so you can put all of the directives that you would use for styling here. So for example, I want to change it to gold, okay, and change the size to 40 pics. I can do that. Okay. All right, so the way that you saw in the exercise of all the dog pictures is the third way. It's where you use a separate file to make your style sheet. Okay, so in order to do that, you need to make a reference. Okay, the reference exactly looks like this. You need to have in your header, anywhere in your header before or after the title. Okay, link, space, type. The type says what type of file is it. So it's a file that's in text format, but it happens to be a CSS file. Okay. Then I have to tell you the function of it. The browser does the style sheet. It's not used for any other purpose. and I need to tell you where to find that style sheet, so I can point it to this style sheet here. Okay, I can point it anywhere. If you know another style sheet somewhere else on the web, then I can point it to another web address. Okay, so if there's another style sheet somewhere else, I can link it up. Okay. So there's one big difference about CSS. Okay. CSS has a little bit different syntax, because now we have to specify what we want the tag linked to. Okay. So for example, here on the left-hand side of this exercise, this is 7 out of 26. Okay. We have a selector, right? The selector says what type of element it applies to. You probably already figured this out, right? So selector can be any type of HTML element, for example, divs and spans, but it can also be paragraph tags and images. Okay? We have a property that's going to be an aspect of a selector that you can also put in, right? That's, for example, the color, and the attribute value, which is what it links up to. Okay? Let me see what I need to go over. Okay, selectors are definitely things that you need to understand better when you do style sheets. Okay, so you can apply the selectors to any HTML element. So here, for example, I have a style sheet. I'm going to apply it to the body. Right, I've changed the background color to an RGB triple. Okay, you'll learn about these later, and when you have time, you can just use color names for now, for example. Okay. But if you know RGB selectors, you can use that. Okay. So I can change the background color to any color that I want. Okay. And I can select multiple things. So for example, I have this web page here. It's a little bit more complicated than the other ones. Okay. All right. So I would like to be able to just change some of these, but not all of these. Okay. So for example, I have several H3s here, right? There's one out here. There's one within the division, and another one nested within that division, okay? And I want to just make the last one red, okay? They're all H3 tags. So if I wrote the style sheet like this, okay, all of them would be red, okay? But when we write selectors in CSS, we have a lot of control about how specific we want it to be. Okay? So if I write div h3, that means that the h3 tag that I wanted to apply to must be one of the tags that is nested within any division. Okay? Similarly, if I write another div tag here, then I'm nesting it within another division. That means I need to see one division nested within another division, and nested within those two divisions I see an H3, then this rule applies, okay? So you go back here, you can see there's a body, there's an H3, a division, H3 and a division. These two don't meet our requirements, okay? But these two do, right? So if I want to make just this one here red, then I have to add another one, right? And say it needs to be nested within yet another division. And then I get the desired syntax that I want. Everyone following that? Okay, great. If you want to select multiple things, you can use a star. Okay, so in here, for example, you can see I have all of the HTML here, right? Which is just a body with 3 divisions. Okay, I want to create a border between all of the selectors. Sorry, all of the items. So I'm going to use the universal selector star. Okay, and I'm going to put a border that is of 1 pixel around everything. But it's going to be dashed. Okay, and I'm going to color it. Maybe I'm going to color it whatever this color is. 5FCD. Okay, then you can see how that page looks. All right, if you view it at full screen, you'll notice something about the boxes. You know, the boxes that we apply in CSS, they're actually the entire length of the page unless you specify otherwise. Okay, so when you go on to learn about the box model, which I don't think we're going to have time today, you'll learn how to position your divs in a place where you want them to be so that they look nice both on your laptop, a desktop, as well as on your phone. Okay. Okay, so we're going to practice. Okay, so those of you who are still with me, please go to CSS selectors 4 of 23. Okay, and then try this exercise and see whether you can get it. If you get it, you can post a screenshot of what you are able to do and put it into Slack. Okay. Okay, sorry, I went a little too fast there, so I hope I'm not going too fast. That sounds stupid, right? Okay. The point about this is that when you have CSS, you have several different ways of following through. Okay, you can do it in the web page itself. Okay, you can do it through a connecting style sheet, and you can do it by inlining style tags directly in your HTML. Okay, so you can put things here as well. Okay, so this will be our last exercise pretty much, okay, that we're going to go through for CSS selectors and give you an idea about that. Okay, so please do this exercise, then we're going to wrap up this session and we're almost done for the day. So I'll do it with you while you're working on your code. You can watch me in progress. Okay, let's see, set all the paragraph text to the same hexadecimal color, 00E5EE. Okay, it's going to do that. I'll explain about, maybe we'll explain about hexadecimal colors in a minute. So I'll come back to that. So first we're going to make our P tag in our style sheet. Okay. So I'm opening up a P tag in the CSS, right? I need to tell it that all of the paragraphs have the same color. So I'm going to put color here, and I'm going to put this hex sign, 00E5EE. Actually, it doesn't matter if it's lowercase or not, okay? They'll mean the same thing. So 00E5EE will also be the same. Okay? Okay, number 2, set all paragraph text for paragraphs nested inside a division tag to another color. Okay, so if I need to do that, I need a paragraph tag. Okay, I need a color tag. Okay, and I'm going to add the color here. Okay, So now it changes color, but that's not what it asked me to do. It says, make the paragraph text inside of the nested div. Okay, only inside the ones that are inside of a division. So if you can see this, actually you can see that there's only 2 paragraphs that are inside a division, right? So these 2 here. Okay, I want them to become vermilion, which is this color, CC0000. Okay, so how do I do that? I have to specify that it is a division within a division tag. Okay, so that's how I did it. So again, you can see that this is the more general CSS directive. It applies to all of the paragraphs on the page, right? But because this is the more specific directive, it only applies to paragraphs that are inside of a division, and it only changes those paragraphs. Okay? So without it, you can see that these 2 conflict with each other. You get 2 different directives. The lower one overrides the upper one because it was seen later in the file. Okay? Then I get that. Okay? Okay. Now the last one is the hex color for the border for every HTML element. So that's everything. So I'm going to use the universal selector. Okay. I'm going to put a border around it. So to do that, I need the border attribute, right? I'm going to have to put the color of the border, 3A5FCD. Okay. And I need to tell it what type of border I'm going to make it. So border actually takes several different arguments. So I can make it, for example, dashed. And you can see now it's dashed on the thing. And I can make it any number of pixels. Let's say 2 pixels wide. Okay? So then you can see the result of that. I have a box that's a border around every element. I have some that are styled in a certain shade because they're within a division. I have another set of ones that are the default color because I styled all of the paragraphs a certain way. Okay? So a lot of frameworks will allow you to do this visually. Just like in Microsoft Word, you just press a button and something gets bold. Okay? But in actuality, you should know the HTML syntax because it's really important for understanding web pages. So for example, if you go to our liftoff page here, okay? This is any website on the web. You can take a look at whichever one you want. And you go to your favorite browser and you try to look at some part of the page using, let's see, view source. How do I do that? You look at the page itself. It's under tools here. Sorry. Tools, web developer, and page source. Okay, you go to the page source. Basically, you'll see what the computer sees when it sees this website. Okay, this is the actual text file that's sent back to your browser when you ask for a web page. When you click on a link or you type it in or you press return, this is what gets sent back. Okay, in Chrome it's in a slightly different position, but it's the same thing. You'll see this page, okay, and the browser is actually receiving this data and then deciding what to do with it. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff here. There's some list items that you've seen before. Okay, some list items here, some divisions, some indications of paragraphs, etc. Right? And then at the top, you can see this is the head of the file. It goes on for quite a while. Okay, until, let's see, around here. Okay, that's all the metadata that's submitted to your browser without being seen. Okay, so you can see what some of them are already. So for example, some of it tells us the style sheet, right? So these are all CSS files that give you the appearance of our Orbital website, right? That's what this website looks like because of all the CSS there. There's some style here that happens to be inline. So we talked about that syntax for putting information inline on the page. Okay. So I encourage you to take a look through any web page that you know of. See whether you can understand a little bit of the HTML that you see when you view the source of the web page, because that will help you understand the syntax. Okay. It's not likely that you have to write a lot of HTML by hand, but you should be able to at least understand it so that you can say, I speak HTML. Okay? Okay, I think in the interest of time, we're going to break there. So we have 10 minutes break before we come to the Apollo 11 matching session. So those of you who are not thinking of getting mentorship, we'll see you tomorrow, either here in the iCube auditorium at I think 9 o'clock. If you're thinking of doing Ruby on Rails, if you'd like to do that instead, which will be a little bit faster paced again, then you can go over to LT19. It's not on the opposite side. So tomorrow, the second track will be in LT19 near the business school canteen. Okay, you'd like to still learn Python, which I think is an incredibly good language. Okay, it's used in a lot of upper level modules. I can say that it will help you academically. Okay, Ruby, on the other hand, is not used in any academic module, but it is very much a favorite programming language for web development. Okay, then you can go to LT19, or you can stay here tomorrow for that. Okay, we're going to be doing the the Python part of this course, also using Code Academy in part. So you can try some of those exercises with me tomorrow. Okay, and then Wee-Sun will be going over Google App Engine. All right. So don't leave quite yet. I want to tell you a little bit about some other things, but I'm going to stop the recording first.